So, I'm talking about grief today. Woo! What a subject for a Sunday morning. It has become apparent to me that we are all, mostly because I am, and I'm looking around and I'm going, yep, we are one. We are all in COVID fatigue.
Yeah. Amen.
Our adrenaline's been way too high for way too long. We can't maintain 4 hours a day. And what we're doing in that COVID fatigue and in our grief, raise your hand if you've lost somebody very close to you in the past year and a half. Yeah, I should have said raise your hand if you haven't lost someone very close to you, because there are more of you who have. Yeah. And we didn't get to observe our usual grief rituals where we come together and tell stories and hug and support one another and have wakes and parties and all of that kind of stuff. And that has its own grief. And it also, if that is the way we're used to grieving, and I think telling the stories of the loved one is one of the most important ways that we grieve, sharing the stories. And we don't get to do that. And it hurts. And then some time passes and we think, I should be over this by now. So I'm just going to go out and try to be nice. Try to be good. Except that guy! It's getting on my third lesson.
Amen.
And it happens. It happens all the time. It happens all the time. It happened to me this morning. I yelled at Bob for no reason at all. I went back in the house and I was looking to find my keys because I needed to have mine in case I need to do something with the doors here. And I flipped on the light and I still couldn't see. And I realized it's because I had my sunglasses on. So I took them off and I went to look for my keys, made sure they were in my purse. And Bob said, what do you have the light on for? I went, or something like that. I don't know how to translate it exactly, but it was not cuss words, but y'all, it was an overreaction. How will I know that's a key? Shut up! I'm going to tell me to turn the light. I don't have to turn the light. I know y'all don't do that. I know y'all don't do that. It has become apparent to me, and I shared with you my new mantra that I got while we were on vacation in Yellowstone. I am not the police. And when I remember that, that calms me down a lot. I'm not the police. Maybe they are doing it wrong. I'm not the police. It's not my job to right them. It's my job to right me if I can. And that is a full-time job. That's a full-time job. And so like the quote from Peace Eagle, grief is not something that we get over. It's something we walk through. And hopefully with some companionship at our side, some wisdom. Grief is something we express. And if we don't express it, it's gonna explode. In small ways, in large ways. But it's gonna. And we are tired. And there's a lot, I used to tell my mom, you know, it's amazing what you can get done when you've had a full night's sleep, and it's amazing what you can't do if you haven't had a full night's sleep. You know, when we are tired, we do not function optimally. We do not, and we are all tired, whether we're tired today or not from last night's sleep. We are tired of having to be alert, of having to remember to where you wear your mask and with whom, and, you know, a lot of that. And we've lost people. We've lost people to death. We've lost our proximity to people. There are people in our lives, maybe we still get to talk to them on the phone, but we haven't had, you know, hand-to-hand embracing yet. We've lost smiles, y'all.
Yeah.
Michael was very politely introducing me to these new guests that he brought today. And as we discussed, and he said, well, David plays Irish music. And I was like, oh, do you know Steve Harrison? And he said, well, that's my nephew. And I'm like, oh, David! We didn't recognize each other. We both had our masks on. That's how weird life has gotten, y'all. That's how weird life has gotten. So we've lost our other grief. Besides for people, it's the places we're used to being. We lost for a long time being able to even be in this sanctuary with each other at the same time. For more than a year, from mid-March until the 1st of May, we lost that. We have it back again. We celebrate having it back again, and like humans, we start taking that for granted and go, well, why can't I do anything else? And it's not time to open the social hall yet. It's not time to take off our masks and eat and drink with each other in close proximity in an enclosed space. It's simply not time yet. And so we find things to fulfill us that aren't the thing that we really want. And if we focus on the thing that we cannot have, we are guaranteeing our unhappiness. I'll give you a written guarantee. I'll sign it. But if we focus on what we do have, and express gratitude for it, we get a lot better. Doesn't mean our grief is over. Doesn't necessarily mean we're not tired anymore. But it means that maybe when someone says, why'd you turn on the light? You say, oh, I just turned it on for a second. You don't say, We've lost our activities. We've lost the normalcy of going, I don't feel like it tonight. Let's go out. Where are we going to go? Do they wear masks there? Do they have outdoor seating? Blah, blah, blah. We have lost some of our entertainment, sporting events, theater, the arts. I don't want to go to a museum unless I know there aren't going to be a whole lot of other people there. We've lost parties. We lost the holidays. We lost a whole year of holidays. A whole year of holidays. Where we didn't get to do exactly what we wanted to do. And you know what, y'all? Really what we've lost is the illusion that we ever got to do exactly what we wanted to do. Because the number one thing that people come to a minister about, I'm telling you, is my family's coming for the holidays. Help me through this. What am I going to do? My sister-in-law's not talking to me. My mom gets right in the middle of things. Whatever. Yeah. So we're human. And things have changed drastically. And mostly what has changed is the easy, thoughtless freedom that we forgot to enjoy while we had it. And now we have freedom to do a lot of things. We can focus on the things we can do and take advantage of those freedoms. And we can be happier in that way, even in our grief, even in our fatigue. Another thing that we've lost is the trust in public. We've lost trust in our fellow human beings because they don't agree with us on things that are really important, we think. We've lost faith in our leaders. We've lost faith in how do you know what the truth is anymore? You go on the internet and find 17 million different things. Who do you trust? We've lost that feeling of trust, but that was always an illusion, y'all. We were always not in control. We were always sharing the planet with a whole bunch of people with a whole bunch of different ideas than ours. And guess what? Every one of them is as scared, as tired, and is grieving as much as you are, whether or not they know it or have admitted it to themselves. And so what's called for today, what's called for every day is grace. And luckily we can call on grace. We can say, you know what, I can't figure it out. But there is something larger than me. You can just call it the energy of love if you want to. I call it God. That's my shorthand. Good, orderly direction. We have that. We can call on grace. And when we call on grace, grace comes to us. Sometimes it comes to us when we haven't called on it, and we're leaning down like this, and it hits us on the back of the head, and we never see it. So when we are open to grace, at every moment, when we remind ourselves over and over and over again, there is grace, there is love in this world. And love is a powerful force. And then when we remember that we can ask for grace, that we can get grace, that we can open ourselves to the grace that is available to us, then maybe we can give some grace to the other people in our lives. Or the other people on the television. The other people that we're judging. That we're calling other, even though we go to a church called the Church of One Love. And we believe we are all one, except you. How do I love that? Well, you know what? You don't have to love that. You can call on grace. You can say, I don't know how to love that. So there is a love that's larger than me, that lives through me and as me and in me and is all around me. And I can call on that love that is greater than my own little human egoic love. I can call on that love, and that love will answer. That love will answer. I promise you. I give you a written guarantee. I give you a written guarantee. I would. Absolutely. We long to feel better, but the world is not cooperating. Guess what? It's not going to cooperate. And we want someone to blame. Guess what? There's no one to blame. That is a human thing. Somebody must be. I feel awful. Must be somebody's fault. Not mine. And I'm not scolding you or us. I'm not scolding myself. I am simply going, oh, sometimes I have to call it out in order to call it up. I have to go, I have to look at this thing. I have to become aware. And then, from there, I can lift it if I need to. I can ask for grace if I need to, but if I go nose to the grindstone with my old judgments and constantly in no one is doing it right, then I can't. I can't see beyond that. I can't see above it. I can't see the grace that's coming toward me. And Lord knows I can't give grace. And that is not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. And so, we have faced and are facing a situational change. Change is something that happens to us. We didn't choose it. Sometimes we choose change, but this change right here, the loss of people, the loss of the world as we knew it, that's not a change that we wrought. But what we have to do is make a transition, which is the process of letting go of the way things used to be and starting to get familiar with the way things are right now. And it's a letting go. And you know what? My mother bought this poster for my sister when she was 9, that if you love something, set it free. If it comes back, it's yours. If it doesn't, it never was. You're not going to lose something that's important. All the important things are with you. All your life and through death. I believe that. So here's a paradox. I'm going to read this from a book called The Way of Transition by William Bridges. Here is a paradox. The very things we now wish that we could hold on to and keep safe from change were themselves originally produced by changes. And many of those changes in their day looked just as daunting as any in the present do. No matter how solid and comfortable and necessary whatever we're holding on to feels today, it was once new, untried, and uncomfortable. Because change is not only the path ahead of us, it's the one we've traveled along all the while. Whew. Think about that for a minute. So here's the problem. We are in transition, and here's the problem with transition. We're not just coming to terms with the change that's happened. We're coming to terms with the part of ourselves we've lost in trying to adjust to that change. The part of myself that was a daughter. I lost a big piece of it when my father died. I lost the last of it when my mother died. I'm still a daughter, but it's hard. That piece of myself I have to come to terms with. I'm next in line. guarantee, if you just say, I keep saying guarantee, I very rarely give guarantees, but really, if you will say to yourself many times a day, what now? Instead of, oh, if that hadn't, if she hadn't, if only I'd, why couldn't? What now? Okay, I am where I am. No going back. I am where I am. What now? What now? Do I want to face it with love and grace? Or do I want to face it by finding someone to blame and spewing my vitriol on them? Or someone to blame and secretly building up steam inside me, building a case, so that one day I can confront them and say, not only, there's all of this too. I got a list, buddy. We do that. That's human. We do that. Don't feel bad about yourself because you do that. But I'm telling you, you feel bad when you do it and there is another way. What now? What now? We're in the hallway right now, y'all. That's why it's so uncomfortable. We have left a room and we cannot go back to it. Every major change that has happened in the world, y'all, the Civil War, World War I, World War II, when people were in the middle of that, they had no idea that it would ever end. Now we know World War II ended in 1945, but in 1941 and 43, people were just slogging through this endless thing, and people were dying, and they were losing loved ones, and nothing was the same. And it ended, and nothing was the same. Because when a change happens, nothing is the same ever again. We can't hold on to that. We can look for the good in what there is. And in New Thought, we're pretty good at doing that. We're pretty good at going, okay, here's my new goal, here's my new whatever, and I'm going to put my attention and my mind and my heart and my love power and my energy toward that thing so that I can manifest it in my life. Right now, though, we're in the hallway. We haven't found the other door. And we don't know exactly what's on the other side of it. We have hopes for what's on the other side, but we don't know what it is. But I promise you, this too will pass. It will. The one thing that is absolutely guaranteed by not just me, but anybody, is that things will change. That's what the Buddha said. Things change. We live in a world of constant change, and all suffering comes from holding on to the things that change. And so we can set ourselves free from suffering by letting go. Holding lightly doesn't mean we have to not love. I'll always love my mother, but I gotta hold that lightly. It's a different kind of love. I'm not a caregiver anymore. It's a different kind of love. And so, during this time in the hallway, the other thing that happens is what I call grief resonance. Have you ever noticed that when you grieve one thing, it's like every grief in your past comes up? Because grief is never truly over. Grief is never truly over. You can lose a dog and start bawling for your mother and your dog. You can lose a mother and start bawling for your father. You can watch people you love lose people that they love and bawl over that because you know what their pain is. And all of that is good. We get to express it. We get to be with each other in it in different ways, perhaps, than we used to be with each other in it. But we do get to do that. If you're feeling really bad, write a letter to somebody that you love. Write a letter. Don't just text. Write a letter. You can even write a letter to a person who is no longer with us on this earth. Write a letter. Because that grief resonance, it's like the same vibration of grief in the past. Now we're vibrating at that same level. And there it all is again. And it's okay. It's all beautiful. It's all grace. It's all right. And we are going to make it. So I'm telling you, stop scaring yourself. That's step one. That is wisdom from Louise Hay when she was working with HIV patients way back in the 80s and 90s. She said, first, stop scaring yourself. second time. I'll put something in the jar. Stop scaring yourself because you don't know what's coming. You don't know what's next. It's not necessarily horrible. It's probably not horrible. And you don't have any control of it anyway. And you do have an eternal, infinite love that you can count on to get you through whatever it is. So focus on that instead of on what you're scared of. And then pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to your own wounds. If you're tired, listen to that. Rest. If you're feeling mean, listen to that. I'm not a mean person, but I sure get mean sometimes. That is a clue for me. That is my teacher. My own meanness is my teacher. Ooh, stop, children. What's that sound? What did I just say? I didn't mean to say that. Who was it that said that? Came on me. Become aware of whatever your state is. If you're sad, be sad. If you're grieving, cry. If you're tired, sleep. If you are happy, enjoy the moment. Joy does not come after grief is over. Joy comes right smack in the middle of it. Right in the middle of it. So we pay attention to our wounds. We bring them into the light because what needs to be healed cannot be healed until it's revealed. So you might have to ask yourself a hard question. Why am I reacting this way? Why did when this little thing happen, I reacted this big? Why am I suddenly thinking I need to tell everyone else in the world what they should do when all this time, all 7 billion of them have been doing whatever they wanted? And they're going to keep on doing it. And when you do that, when you bring it into the light, when you treat yourself gently, when you allow yourself to express what it is in safe and loving places, then you will easily see the wound in everyone else. And none of us is mean enough to yell at a wounded person. Right? We have to forget that they're wounded in order to yell at them. But when we remember our wounded places, we remember others. And then we can give grace. Then we can give grace. Where I hurt, all people hurt. What I need, all people need. So in any situation of my life, if I feel like something is missing, I have to ask, what is mine to give? And it may just be love. It may just be prayer. It may not be a big thing. But love is a big thing. It's very, very, very simple. And very, very, very hard to do. Thank you. Let's take that into a brief meditation. I'm going to drink some water first. So just relax in your seat wherever you are. Whatever you need to do to make your body feel comfortable, give it some comfort. I mean, if it's getting up and leaving, I guess you could do that too, but we're tears come, they may come, and that's okay. Now say to yourself, whatever it is, love will see me through this. Love will see me through. Love will see us through. We're all standing in a hallway together. We're not quite where we've been, and we're not yet where we're going. And so we breathe in and we give each other some elbow room and some grace, some space to not be perfect. And then we can identify that hope that waits in that hallway with us. And feel it. Allow ourselves to feel it. We get afraid. Oh, but what if I get disappointed? Love is on the other side. We may not know what it looks like, but it's love and it's there. We can base our lives on this and live happier and healthier and freer, because true freedom is in the